The first day of our new studio, which is located in the affectionately named Eve TV wood. I said it would have a wood in it, so there you go. I'm sitting here joined by 3 player commentators that flew all the way to Iceland to talk about spaceships with us for you. And let's just go from closest to furthest to introduce you guys. Apothny, welcome. Sir Squeebles,
hello.
First time for many people to see you.
Yes.
And returning to us is Bacchanalian.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. From your tiny little Skype screens that we decided to let you out of.
Right.
And I mean, how do you like it so far? What do you think about our new studio?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is very, very cool. Very high tech.
Yeah, I like it. I think I like it better than last year. So definitely.
Yeah. As a veteran,
an upgrade.
Yeah, as a veteran for these newer people here, you can tell them about the horrific circumstances.
Terrible conditions of last year.
Terrible conditions. No.
It's all you talked about in Skype forever, and now we don't have it.
Yes.
Think about it.
I was dreading the heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice and cool here. There's air circulation. It's wonderful.
We have a lot of things. We have a lot of wonderful things.
And it's pretty. I mean.
Yeah, we're sitting here in space.
Let's be honest.
I haven't even discussed the desk, so we decided to go with mirror black so that we can look at ourselves. This is all we need, really. We only want our faces and our voices to keep everything going. And as you can see, we have colors. Well, one.
We do have colors.
One color.
What color are we on? Are we on blue?
We're on blue.
We're on blue.
Ooh, very good. Oh, yeah.
Matching my shirt.
Yeah.
You're wearing purple.
It's not purple.
Already, we are in fights. So there was a bit of a delay due to the setup of the studio and sound issues and everything. We heard that people like sound in their Eve and things about Eve, so we decided to install it. We took care of that problem promptly, and now we're all ready to go. And I think we should just try and get into the match as quickly as possible. So the first match of the day is in losers bracket, so we're still watching teams go home, or well, back to station,
right,
with their tails between their legs, or their engine trails. The first match of the day is Razor Alliance versus the Initiative. Yeah. Initiative dot.
Initiative dot. That's important. Can't forget the dot.
Yeah. So we already have the bans. Razor Alliance banned out the EOS and the Armageddon, and the Initiative banned out the Gila and the Rattlesnake. Pretty something that we should suspect is going to be the theme of today and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, these are probably would be the most used ships if the bans didn't exist in the tournament. We have, even with the bans, we've seen a lot of them. So it makes sense. Maybe we're going to start seeing getting away from the drone meta this weekend, and it's going to start by just banning them out. People are going to have to think outside the box. So
I really hope a lot of people take on Hydro Reload's approach and bring arties. I love
that. Was really impressive. Yeah.
I like artillery.
The headshotting is good.
The headshot is real. That is for sure.
I'm also looking forward to some of the teams taking my pro tip and just bringing smart bombs.
Yes.
Yeah,
all smart bombs?
Oh, yes.
That's
the way I'm
disco.
That would be good.
Send your 2 lucky frigates out of the boundary immediately.
Right.
And then just go smart bombing.
It's going to be Rancer in the Alliance tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't
Old
that what we
school
want?
Rancer. Yeah. That would be great.
But yeah, so I think we're in for a pretty good first match.
I do as well.
I think so.
I think it is interesting. Razor actually fielded Ageddon in their last match, and they banned Ageddon this time. So clearly they're not going to run the same comp. I wonder if they're still going to go with the battleship.
I want to see the State Raven. I got to be honest. They said that was their flagship, and I'm saying, Razor, bring it out. Show us that you mean it.
They're not going to.
No, they're not. But if I believe really hard,
it might be the biggest bait State Raven in history.
That is possible.
They just want to kill it for the kill man. They just
alternatively, they could make it look like a bait State Raven. I'm not sure how you act baity, but then fit all E-War in the
I don't think you need to act bait E-War when you're a State Raven. Everybody wants to kill you.
Right.
For the bragging rights.
They could put smart bombs on it, to your point. I mean, just throwing it out there.
Yep. I remember you talked about how fielding a Gila will make you... Your smart bombs sort of not affect your drones that much, but now it's banned. Smart bombs, guys.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you're still looking at other drone holes that do have EHP bonuses, so they're still quite tanky, a lot of the drones.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll continue we saw a bunch of old school Dommy setups in the losers bracket last weekend. I wonder if the teams in the losers bracket are going to continue that, or they've realized that Dommies aren't that great.
Well, they might still be good, but they're certainly more expensive last year from a points perspective. So
Yes, the dummy garnered a lot of attention as the last tournament being like Dominic's tournament number Dominic's. Everybody brought one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've been seeing a lot of variety, I feel, for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Weeks.
Yeah, we really have.
Some have gone great, others not so much.
Yeah.
We've
I
se-
mean, the Typhoons. I have to mention Typhoons. But I'm obsessed with the Typhoons. I'm absolutely obsessed with them.
In what
Yeah.
way? Because I too am
I
obsessed
just
with Typhoon.
can't believe that they were not only brought, but won.
Yeah,
So,
that is true.
anyway, we'll
I
talk
think the
about that a little
ton-
more later when we see it. But yeah.
So I just got word that the match is ready. So we're
Yes,
ready to
here
go.
we go.
What
Excellent.
do you guys think? I'm going with the initiative because I like those guys.
I'm going with initiative because, well, I just don't have much confidence in Razor. It's the nicest way I can say
I'm
that.
going with initiative because they're not Razor.
I'll go Razor, partly out of obligation, but yeah.
There always has to be one.
Out of
Yeah,
pity.
I'll be that guy.
And when they win, you will lord it over us.
Right,
That's
exactly.
absolutely
Yes.
Pretty much. So let's go into cyberspace space and watch some ships.
We are in cyberspace space. We've got Razor in red and Initiative in blue, and Apothony's gonna have to like clip his heels a little bit, few times because there is no State Raven. There is a Golem, which is almost like a State Raven, but a little bit less blingy. So Razor, well, there's a pretty Stratios actually.
Showing you guys some random stuff. Our faces first. I'm CCP Rise. I'm with Elise Randolph, and we'll be with you for the first start of the day today. And yes, so you'll see setups in just a second, but we have Razor bringing Tengu along with a Marauder, Tinker along with a Marauder. So they have a Golem and then this small triple Ishtar Tengu Vulture Tinker, and they're gonna be up against drone setup with Friglogy, some Ishtars, Myrmidons, that Stratios you saw, Vexers, and a couple Inquisitors. By the way, I have no idea if you guys can hear me. If you can kind of hear me and it's really frustrating, don't worry, we're working on it, and hopefully before long we'll have it sorted out.
We'll be good. And the match is starting right now. Initiative is in a very high DPS setup. They've got the Frigate Logistics and the Inquisitors, and it's going up against a Tinker, which is very resilient to a lot of these things. The Tinker that Razor chose to field is kind of immune to damps, so they just assign their Ishtar drones to the Golem. Golem goes into Bastion, but of course it doesn't look like either team has much control, so it doesn't really matter for them on this one.
Those Executioners, super brave, heading like straight across into the center of the Tinker. And one thing definitely worth knowing, both teams dropping sentries. You were talking before the match about how it would be really important for the Golem to have smart bombs, but actually not going to be needing them or not going to be able to use them because there's just bouncers from every single ship basically on the initiative side.
Yeah, so that's something that Razor did not want to see, is the bouncers. But I mean, the bouncers recently got, or the Ishtars recently got patched earlier this week, so they're track a little bit worse. Bouncers probably not the drone they wanted to choose, but they're going to work on it anyways. Razor looks like they're going after a Myrmidon for the initiative side. Initiative is just kind of trying to break the Tinker Tengu right now. They're just putting all their DPS while they're losing a Myrmidon rather. And I don't know, I think this early on,
Wow.
Razor's got the edge. Everyone who like poo-pooed
They're-
on Razor.
That's a really big deal. It looks like the initiative didn't have the DPS, or at least wasn't having an easy time breaking a tank to begin with. And if they're losing ships as well, even with their reps active, the Inquisitors didn't get to rep him immediately, but once they made it into range, they weren't disrupted in any way, and still Razor has enough damage to break those Myrmidon tanks. So that's a really, really good sign for Razor.
So interesting to point out, the bouncers don't track all that well, especially after the patch on the Ishtar, but they don't care because the Golem gets bonus target painters, and they're just zonking this Myrmidon straight down. Second Myrmidon going down. Maybe, I don't know if you want to shoot the Myrmidons first, but it's obviously working for them.
Yeah, it seems to be working
And
out fine.
This Razor Tengu's holding fine. I mean, he's ASB fit, so the cap pressure might start getting to him in a little bit when he has to use his XL ASB on cap, but none of the initiative team has any cap pressure at all, so as long as they don't get bumped from away from each other or anything like that, they should be golden. And Razor just kind of
Nice target switch here by Razor. That Myrmidon started to recover, and it looks like they've swapped over to a Vexer really quickly to try to challenge those reps, and the Vexer just, wow, just totally disappears. They did manage to get maybe one rep cycle on there, but it wasn't enough to save it. So down a cruiser now as well, and as is always the case with these kind of permanent tank-based teams, it's really bad news if you lose DPS before you break anything. Like, it just gets harder and harder for them. So
yeah. I think the Razor switch from the Myrmidon to the Vexor was a really wise choice.
Yeah.
The Inquisitors don't have that much range, so if they're spread out a little bit, they can really test them that way.
Yeah.
The Inquisitors are really efficient for the points in terms of repping that you get. It's like 2/3 or something as effective as a Tech 1 Logi for less than half the points, so it's really, really good. But they have limited range, and they have to kind of not fly out of the arena sometimes.
It's actually really surprising how split up the initiative is. It's often the case with a drone setup like this that you would want to spread out so that if you were being chased, it takes a lot more time for the drones or the enemy turret ships or whatever to move to the next target. But in this case, all the damage is just sitting still, so they don't gain all that much by spreading themselves out. Although now Razor's actually switched to Geckos and Infiltrators, so I take that back somewhat. But I would think they would want to group up a bit more to make it easier on their Logi during those target switches.
Yeah, probably. The kiting around doesn't do too much for them. But as you see, Razor's now swapping between this Vexor and this Myrmidon. They figure the Inquisitor can't keep both of them up, and they are absolutely right. And, well, the Inquisitors are trying, but not trying hard enough.
Yep, Myrmidon down, Vexor probably following shortly. They're also putting a little pressure on those Executioners that are in close to the team. At this point, I mean, Razors just looks like they're in really good shape. I can't imagine Initiative will be able to challenge the tank. I wonder, do you think in this type of matchup, it's usually best for Initiative to go for the Tengu?
I don't know. I think they had a lot of DPS early on that they could have probably just blapped through some of these Ishtars. Like, Ishtar is kind of flimsy, or at least of what you have here, it's the flimsiest. And they were just barely tanking with their 2 little Inquisitors with what they had. So maybe if you eliminate one of the Razor Ishtars, then you can kind of cruise and like, poke and see what the weak hole is.
Definitely. But they don't get a chance to find out at this point. Looks like this is going to be pretty bad news. Also, to let you guys know, we are mostly in the losers bracket today, so most of the matches you're watching are elimination matches. If Initiative loses this, which it looks like they will be knocked out of the tournament. Razor will keep trying to make their way through that losers bracket, and we will be in losers bracket today up until the Exodus match, which happens pretty close to the end. We'll have 6 matches or so that are in the winners bracket, but a lot of elimination matches today, which is always fun.
Yep. So Razor is, when you see Razor and Initiative, like, you generally expect to see the Initiative go a little bit further. They did last year at least. Do you think this is just like they rolled the dice and got wrong, or what happened here?
Maybe. I think like I do feel like the compositions favored Razor. But I don't know. I'm not sure. There's some weird decisions here as well. I think, going into the match, I felt like this kind of could go either way. I feel like Razor's always kind of a middling team. Like, it's hard to say exactly where they'll kind of run out of gas, but they usually do all right. So I don't know. I think it was hard to say going in, even after we saw the setups, kind of how this would go.
And their Sister Bliss goes down in the Initiative Ishtar. This Razor attack bar is super tiny, but it is effective, I guess.
Yeah, it is surprising. I guess the painter's doing a lot of work. What do you think about one thing kind of surprising to me in this match is there's so little disruption on either side. Basically, have
the control bars are non-existent.
Yeah, you basically have target painters and some webs maybe for both teams, but there's really no damps going on. There's no ECM. And I wonder if maybe that's sort of part of the mistake Initiative made, is not having a good way to disrupt kind of anything the other team was doing.
Yeah, we saw these very high DPS teams with Shadow Cartel had one, PL had one as well. They have lots of damps in the mid slots, they use their things for utility and stuff. And it was very effective. Like, damps are very strong in the tournament. I think it's the strongest form of Evil War you can bring. And Initiative was clearly, like, they banned the Rattlesnake Gila, 2 ships that don't really care about damps too much. So you figure maybe when you see that, you bring some damps with you to take advantage of that. But nope, not so much. Tinker, I guess the Tinker teams are pretty resilient to damps anyway, so it wouldn't have been too much of an issue. They've got the Ishtars, especially this setup itself.
That's kind of what I would have thought too, that maybe it is fine to just go for pure damage against the Tinker setups because they're fairly resilient to damps at least. But we actually saw, I think it was the Hydra match last week, where just scan resolution damps
on the Tengu,
caused the Tengu to take 30 seconds to lock his cruisers, and so they had lost 2 by the time he even had his first lock.
That's the thing with the Tinker. When one piece falls, the entire setup, it's like it's no good. It's not Gucci. We see one Inquisitor already died. I'm actually pretty surprised that Razor didn't shoot these Inquisitors first. The